I don't know if it says more about the movie or the audience that one of the biggest laughs in this came from a very clearly dubbed fart noise. Not that I'm complaining or anything, I'm a sucker for a good fart noise joke. I mean, it's not like I have one in every single one of my videos. The Hitman's Bodyguard is an action comedy starring Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds as a hitman and a bodyguard, obviously. We need to get to the Hague by a certain time in order for one of them to testify against a dictator accused of crimes against humanity. But unlike a McDonald's burger, there's beef there. After all, one of them did try to kill the other 28 times. This not buddy, not cop movie was directed by Patrick Hughes, who also directed comedy gold The Expendables 3, and it was written by Tom O'Connor, whose last credit was 2012's Fire with Fire, which goes a long way to explaining why he's pursuing a career as a writer and not a firefighter. Samuel L. Jackson plays Darius Kincaid, the eponymous hitman, and is in peak motherfucker mode, using the word like other people use commas, and Ryan Reynolds plays Michael Bryce, the reluctant bodyguard who's in almost peak Ryan Reynolds mode. On paper, the pairing of these two should be an easy win. Both of them individually have hugely likeable personas, and when they play in their wheelhouses, audiences absolutely lap it up. So combine the two and you get some kind of military grade charm dispersal machine, which is what happens here. Is, let's face it, in the Hitman's Bodyguard, they kind of play themselves. It's kind of undeniable that the two of them are on autopilot from beginning to end, but even on autopilot, these are two actors that are still very funny. The banter between Reynolds and Jackson is strong and easily the movie's saving grace. Their characters themselves are for the most part fairly likeable, if somewhat bland, although that is mostly down to both actors' natural likeability, as they don't have strong material to work with. With Ryan Reynolds especially, it's almost impossible to watch him in anything and not immediately gravitate towards him. But aside from the lead duo, there's really not much else to it. Salma Hayek is in it as Kincaid's imprisoned wife and is pretty funny to be fair, although she's very shrill and would definitely be annoying after a while, but she isn't in it much, so it doesn't leave with a bad impression. In fact, she actually walks away with one of the more enjoyably bonkers scenes in the movie. Gary Oldman is also in it as the big bad and gets absolutely nothing to do. I mean, to the point where, as far as I remember, I don't think he and Ryan Reynolds shared one scene or even acknowledged each other exists. They probably hired him just so they could put his name on the poster. Actually, wait. No, they didn't even do that. I'm pretty sure what happened was that Gary Oldman had like a day off and just happened to walk by the set, and they were like, "Hey, Gary Oldman, do you want to be in our movie? We'll pay you." Daredevil's Elodie Young also appears as an Interpol agent and an ex of Michael Bryce in a subplot that felt completely unnecessary. I honestly felt like the subplot revolving around the relationship between the Young's and Reynolds characters could have been jettisoned entirely and it wouldn't have had any net effect on the story. In fact, if anything, it would have made it leaner, and for a film coming in at just under 2 hours, it really should have been 90 minutes. It does make for a good joke though about how when they meet for the first time, she literally throws herself at Bryce, which when you're sitting there in the cinema, you might be thinking, yeah, like that would never happen. But then you think, oh no, he looks like Ryan Reynolds, that actually makes sense. Unfortunately, The Hitman's Bodyguard isn't anywhere near as funny as it thinks it is. Post Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds is back to being a huge draw as an action comedy star, and the marketing especially is trying to capitalise on that. With marketing material like a poster spoofing the Kevin Costner movie The Bodyguard and an action-packed trailer set to I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, who weirdly is also in The Bodyguard, it's more than just implied that The Hitman's Bodyguard would be a Deadpool-ish self-aware comedy. Instead, what we get is a tonally awkward movie that never fully delivers on either the action or comedy front. While it is consistently humorous, only counted 2 big laughs, one of which was that dubbed in fart noise I mentioned earlier. And for a movie with this cast, that's pretty weak, and I can't help but think it's down to a so-so script. And I guess this is a bit neither here nor there, but there is a strange look to this movie. As well as a handful of scenes with some terrible green screen, so many scenes have a washed out look as if they couldn't get rid of lens fog or something, and that's obviously a conscious choice that the director and DP have made, but why? I couldn't tell you. I don't feel like it added anything to the movie or accentuated the themes or settings in any noticeable way, but not my movie, not my choice, so I'm sure there was a reason behind it, and hopefully somebody much smarter than me will let me know in the comments what I missed. Director Patrick Hughes stages his action in a way that's fine. It's competent enough that it's energetic, but also cartoony in a way that the audience never feels like anything's at stake. Although, there is a fight with Bryce in a hardware store that is a lot of fun. In terms of the story, it's about as predictable as you expect. Once the first act is over, you could probably pause the movie and correctly guess every conflict and plot beat that follows. It's extremely formulaic, which is a shame, as there are real hints of a more fun or interesting movie in there somewhere. As an example, the movie shows pros and cons to both lead characters and then asks a question I wasn't expecting. Who is more of a good guy? Those who kill evil motherfuckers, or those who protect evil motherfuckers from being killed? But the movie never makes a single attempt to provide any answers to that question or delve any deeper than that surface level, which is all a bit strange when you consider that The Hitman's Bodyguard was actually on the 2011 blacklist of hottest unmade scripts, so something must have happened in development. Now, I don't know anything about the development of The Hitman's Bodyguard, so I might be completely in the wrong here, but I get the impression that what happened was that Ryan Reynolds was attached to The Hitman's Bodyguard for a long time, and then somewhere along the line, Deadpool comes out and is a runaway success. The Hitman's Bodyguard was released in late summer 2017. It's entirely possible that it began filming right after the release of Deadpool. So in an attempt to emulate the success of Deadpool, they completely reworked the script to be an R-rated action comedy at the last minute, brought in Sam Jackson, and then banked everything on the chemistry between their leads and stripped away all that stuff that would earn a script a spot on the blacklist. At least that's the impression I was left with, because The Hitman's Bodyguard feels rushed. It feels like everyone involved in every capacity is just phoning it in. If it wasn't for the big name casting, this would be a straight to VOD movie that you'd watch on Netflix on a Sunday morning hungover. In fact, actually, even with this cast, it still is. It's extremely generic, but in the end, it's saved by the chemistry between Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds, who elevate it into something consistently entertaining and quite funny, but ultimately still instantly forgettable. It plays it so safe in an attempt to become a franchise that it actually works against itself and becomes mediocre. I'm giving The Hitman's Bodyguard 3 popcorns. Thanks very much for watching my review of The Hitman's Bodyguard. If you liked it, please don't forget to give that a thumbs up. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. And if you and your friend are thinking of seeing The Hitman's Bodyguard, maybe share this video with them, see if it sways your decision. You can click the boxes below to see some of my latest videos. But again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.